It seemed scarcely a moment since she'd closed her eyes, yet already the morning sun was waking her. She pulled the duvet more closely round her, for even in the glare of the early June sun she felt a chill. She tried to be philosophical. After all, she no longer had any emotional distractions to delay or divert her, just the challenge of discovering whether she really did have what it took to become the best political correspondent in a fiercely masculine world. But it was bloody difficult to be philosophical when your feet were freezing. And in the last few weeks she'd heard more outrageous and empty promises than at any time since Yorkshire. With a sigh, Mattie Storrin threw back the duvet and clambered out of bed. June the 10th was election day. Today, she had work to do. The Right Honourable Francis Urquhart was not enjoying himself. He was squashed into the corner of a small and stuffy living room, and try as he could, he'd been unable to escape the devoted attentions of the posse of matrons who doubled as his constituency workers and who now surrounded him. He had never felt at home in his constituency, but then he'd never felt at home anywhere any more, not even in his native Scotland. The Scottish moors and ancestral estates had never completely satisfied him, and amidst much family bitterness he had sold the estates, and at 39 had exchanged them for the safer political fields of Westminster and Surrey. He spent little time in his constituency nowadays. The journey to the leafy suburbs seemed to grow longer as he climbed the political ladder from backbencher to chief whip, one of the 24 most powerful posts in the government. Yet the role of chief whip does not carry with it full cabinet rank. Urquhart's was a faceless task, toiling ceaselessly behind the scenes. Less than 1% of the Gallup poll gave him instant name recognition. As chief whip, he was responsible for discipline within the parliamentary party, for delivering a full turnout on every vote, which meant he needed to know where every one of his members of Parliament was likely to be found, with whom they were conspiring, with whom they might be sleeping, whether they would be sober enough to vote, or had any personal crisis which could disrupt the smooth management of parliamentary business. And in Westminster, such information is power. Scarcely any scandal in government strikes without the whip's office knowing about it first. And because they know about it first, many scandals never strike, unless the chief whip and his 10 junior whips wish it to. One of the most important responsibilities of a chief whip is to advise the Prime Minister on any ministerial reshuffle, and Urquhart had given the post-election reshuffle a lot of thought. He had in his pocket a handwritten note to the Prime Minister covering all his recommendations. They would not only mean a stronger and more effective government, and God knew they needed that after the last couple of years, but also one in which Urquhart's close colleagues and allies would be in the strongest positions of influence. And he, of course, would have that prominent position which he had so long deserved. Yes, at last, his time had come. The air of controlled chaos, which usually filled the editor's office, had gone, to be replaced by a sense of panic. The first edition had long since gone to press, with the front-page headline proclaiming, "Home and Dry." That had been at 6 p.m., 4 hours before the polls closed. The editor of the Daily Telegraph, like all other editors, had taken his chance on the election result in order to make his first edition of even marginal interest by the time it hit the streets. This was Greville Preston's first election as an editor, and his efforts at increasing the circulation by taking the paper down market had yet to show the promised results, so the dapper appearance which he affected was spoilt by the beads of perspiration on his brow. He turned to face the member of staff who had been giving him a hard time. "How the hell do you know it's going wrong?" he shouted. Mattie Storrin did not flinch. At 28, she was the youngest recruit to the paper's political staff, and she did not care for this editor, whose job was not so much to produce a prime-quality newspaper as to return a good profit. She turned to face him with her hands thrust defensively into the pockets of her fashionably baggy trousers, which, in spite of the flowing lines, somehow still managed to emphasize her willowy elegance.